about Mr. McAfee, or McAfee. There we go. I always say McAfee. I don't know why. I even did it when I met him. It was really embarrassing, but let's just talk about it. So, John McAfee's widow, golly, I'm off today. John McAfee's widow still seeking independent autopsy 1 year after his death. So yesterday was the anniversary of John McAfee's, or McAfee's, there we go. I can do it. His death, and it was surrounded with a lot of controversy, right? There's the whole idea of the dead man switch. He had, for those, the uninitiated, he had just a couple weeks before released a token called, Whacked, and said, just so everyone's aware, if they say I committed suicide, I did not. He wrote a letter to, of course, his widow, and basically sounded up in good spirits. And then all of a sudden we have a suicide note not written in his handwriting to the best of everybody's knowledge. And then he passed away. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. Let's kind of get into that. The crypto evangelist was found dead in Spanish prison last year after years on the run from the U.S. authorities. John McAfee was found dead in a Spanish prison on June 23, 2021 from an apparent suicide. The McAfee family is fighting for the release of McAfee's body so an independent autopsy can be conducted. A year has passed since the body of tech entrepreneur and antivirus software developer John McAfee was found in his holding cell in a Spanish prison. To this day, as Reuters reports, McAfee's remains are still in a Spanish morgue where the initial autopsy was conducted. And this is suspicious too, because it's been over a year and his body was never released to the family. The autopsy was clearly very, very tight and closed. A lot of people were not allowed access. And this is why people have questions surrounding this passing, right? McAfee's widow, Janice, has maintained that her husband's death was not the result of suicide, as initially reported, and has launched a Change.org petition campaign to pressure the Spanish government to release her husband's remains. Quote, 1 year ago today, John McAfee was stolen from us, a champion of freedom and privacy. The world is a much darker place without him, end quote. Janice McAfee tweeted today, marking the anniversary. An autopsy conducted by Spanish authorities determined that McAfee died by suicide, saying his body was found hanging in his cell and that he had previously attempted suicide while in custody. And this is questionable because, like I said, he had been very vocal on Twitter about the fact that if they tried to say it was suicide, it was not. And this is why things get really, really curious surrounding this case. McAfee's family considered the original autopsy to be incomplete and asked for further checks, which were denied by a local judge. McAfee's lawyer, Javier Villalbo, all right, look, I'm terrible at names, told Reuters. The family appealed the decision, and the judge then ruled that McAfee's body could not be handed to the family until the court resolved their appeal, according to the lawyer. McAfee launched the first commercial antivirus software bearing his name in 1987 and ran for president of the United States in 2016 to 2020, both times unsuccessfully seeking the Libertarian Party nomination. McAfee was found dead the same day, and Spain's High Court authorized his extradition to the United States. Spanish police apprehended McAfee after the U.S. Justice Department issued an indictment. McAfee faced 30 years in prison on tax evasion charges stemming from an alleged ICO pump and dump scheme that authorities say made the crypto icon over $23 million, which I think McAfee antivirus probably made him more than that. What I'm thinking. But if you guys don't remember, back in the day, basically ICOs are the equivalent to what like NFTs and DeFi are right now, probably more close to like DeFi, right? So ICOs were to blame last time by the uninitiated as opposed to the halving cycle for the previous crash, right? So every time we get these like this halving cycle in the bear market, something gets targeted for blame, right? ICOs, which were initial coin offerings that were usually powered once again on Ethereum. So every time the blame is placed, it is placed on basically some new iteration that is happening on the Ethereum blockchain. You ended up with basically the exact same repeat process of like, all these things are terrible. And typically, right, there was some validity to these arguments. ICOs definitely had a lot of scams going on within them. Not all of them, but definitely some. So it's an important note, because if you understand the similarities during these halving cycles and the regulation that starts pumping out, the types of things that start getting blamed for people losing money, and the fact that basically it still surrounds the exact same cycle, then you can be a lot more comfortable when you're navigating crypto, both in a bear market and a bull run, right? What I'm saying is like there will be another ICO and another CeFi scandal in like 2026. There will be. I don't know what it'll be, but there will be, right? Like that's going to be what it is. Now, the key would be, right, targeting that and finding out what that is going to be during the bull run cycle next time, right? All right. So it's difficult to put into words what life has been like this past year. Janice McAfee tweeted earlier this morning, "I still can't believe John is gone." She wrote, encouraging her followers to sign the change.org petition, which at the time of publication has 1,790 signatures with a global gathering of 100,000 signatures. There you go. If you want to check this out, check it out in the description below. I follow Janice, so, I highly encourage people to go follow her. You can get caught up to date on all of it. From my perspective, I think that there is a mix of, it's very hard to determine what reality is and not in these types of situations. I think like when I talked about it with a few people, there is basically like a tweet that went out saying like, the US government is killing people over taxes. That is not necessarily what I believe, but it does pinpoint like a couple interesting factors that play into this, which is like clearly all of this strife that was put around it is based on basically taxes. And part of that is also to spread the FUD and bring regulation into cryptocurrency, because if you aren't aware, basically John was a big proponent of Monero, and that is a privacy coin. And the thing about Monero and regulation is that you can't really regulate Monero that well, because basically it has obfuscated transactions on it. And this is why you don't see Monero on things like centralized regulated exchanges such as crypto.com and Coinbase, etc. And that is still, though, a problem, because those are, in my humble opinion, the things that stick as close to the original principles of cryptocurrency than anything else that's around. And I think they'll stick around for a long time, and I think they will be utilized. And once again, you don't have to be doing anything wrong to value your own individual sovereignty when it comes to your finances, to value privacy, and to value security. That does come with responsibility, as I always state, but that doesn't mean that you should just give away all of your rights and security and privacy to some governing entity, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. They have the ability to make some mistakes just like you and I do. And that is the important factor that a lot of people miss. And it's one that actually has frustrated me with Vitalik Buterin, who had recently talked about how he thinks that, by and large, the people don't know what they're doing and they need somebody to tell them what to do. That's the best way I can put it. But he sides with essentially nation states. And that was a recent tweet that really kind of put me off as far as all that goes. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.